Hey, what's happening? It's your dude, the merciless Reece L. Black. Welcome back to the booth. Actually, I want to go ahead and take the time out to give a shout out to a great podcast called The Fatherhood Village. Make sure you also subscribe to their YouTube channel as well. I'm actually wearing their t-shirt right here just to go ahead and show support. Can y'all see that? Can y'all see that? I hope y'all do. They have great down-to-earth conversations when it pertains to fatherhood and things like that. So make sure you go over to their YouTube channel, subscribe, and make sure you follow them on your favorite podcast platform as well. Very, very, very great content. Today, what I wanted to do is I wanted to go ahead and talk about something a tad bit deep. I wanted to go ahead and talk about signs you may be dealing with somebody who may be possibly be very combative, maybe even borderline abusive. I know today there's a bunch of platforms out there where they're already given the red flags, but sometimes these red flags may be overlooked here. So I wanted to go ahead and back up a little bit further and give my opinion on some of the little sands of signs that you should be looking for when it comes to dealing with somebody who is combative or maybe just like borderline abusive. Most people who are very combative never really provide a solution for anything. They always state a problem. State them problem after problem after problem after problem, like they never have a solution for anything. And when it comes to like someone else, if they're always presenting the problem, letting you know like, hey, what if this happens? What if this happens? How come we aren't this? How come we aren't that? But they are never assisting with a answer. They just always want to freaking argue. That's a sign that, hey, they're very combative. Now, the thing is, if you want to go into an abuser area, we may not know just yet because frustration could build up. It could escalate to a point where they can get physical. But we're talking about someone who's always bringing up a problem constantly. It's almost as if like they love bringing up the problem, but they have not even had a solution in place. They're just coming to your face with a problem all the time. Like why? And the thing is, they're presenting it with like frustration, not passion. They're always presenting it with such heat. Like they're so furious with you, very, very infuriated with you. And honestly, if they're not even gonna come up with a solution after they state the problem, then it's almost as if like all they want to do is just be combative. All they want to do is just create contention with you throughout the relationship. Maybe they get off on it, maybe they don't. But it's a huge red flag, and I'm sure that is something you do not want to deal with constantly throughout your relationship. They seem to be overly sensitive. My guys, we do have a tendency to pretty much just fly off the rails when a woman says something, and she will ask you, why are you so sensitive about that? And I'm not talking about something personal. No, I'm talking about just anything. Maybe it's an insecurity, I don't know. But I have noticed that there's a lot of men out there, when something is brought to the attention, the first emotion that comes is almost as if like they want to just ghost. They become very defensive. And it's like, bruh, hold up. Calm that shit down. Like, you really getting ballsy over some shit like that? Like, half the time you just playing. And you know what? Sometimes a lot of ladies out there, you have some dark humor. I ain't gonna lie, I'm one of them. I have a lot of dark humor. But lately, we've been having a whole lot of men getting sensitive over some of the smallest things, even things that really don't even concern them. Some of you guys want to say that, yo, you know what? Maybe it's mommy issues. It's like, damn, were you raised by the single parent mother and you are definitely being your mother's child? And it's like, no, we don't want to go ahead and always make it seem like mom was overly sensitive and that dang near transferred down to the son. But man, bruh, you're always sensitive. Same thing for the ladies. A lot of men do have a dark sense of humor. Sometimes we pretty much just like to look at everything trivial. You may not be fond of it, but if this guy was known for just cracking jokes and just having a little humor, sometimes we like you to lighten up. But we do realize there's just some people out there that just pretty much have a stick up their ass. You can't be funny with them. They have zero funny bone. And the moment you end up like giving out like a sense of humor vibe, just trying to be funny, just try to lighten the mood, and they're just like, what, you think that's funny? Like that's always gonna be the reaction? Nobody's gonna wanna hang out with you. That's a terrible sign, especially if you're that sensitive to the point where you're getting defensive, where you wanna get physical, where you wanna fight. That's a huge red flag in today's, today's market. So, hey, if you run into somebody who's just a little bit too sensitive, too quick, on to the next. If they were always amused by physical harm. Now, I remember a few, maybe it was years back, I guess Ray J got into it with his wife, right? And it got so physical to where Ray J's ribs were broken, I believe. And everybody on social media laughed at Ray J. That's a huge red flag. I know we're in this age where when men get harmed, it's hilarious. Like when something bad physically happens to a man, it's hilarious because he probably deserved it. That's a red flag in my book. Nobody should be amused by somebody getting physical with anyone else. Like I know I did a video way back with the whole Zach Stacy case. There were actually people out there who were reacting to that video of him pretty much slamming his ex-girlfriend and the child of his mother on like the baby seat and laugh. Some people were laughing at him ragdolling his ex-woman, throwing her up against the flat screen. Like people were really just like, oh my God, ooh, ha, 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 ha. They were really kikiing over shit like that. That's a red flag. You should not be laughing at somebody getting their ass whooped, whether it's a woman whooping a man's ass or vice versa. You really better not be laughing at like some man beating the brains out of a woman, period. You shouldn't be laughing at some woman beating the shit out of a man. No, that's unfortunate, very unfortunate. If they are amused by something like that, like, hey, look at this. This dude is beating the shit out of his woman. I don't know what she did, but I bet she ain't gonna do it again. It's like, yo, that's not funny. That's not funny. I hope that shit was reported too, and I hope they get his ass, but don't be showing me something like that and you're over here rolling about it. That's not cool and everything. So if they seem to be amused by someone else's physical harm, you might want to think twice about dealing with that person. What is this person's watch history? Like if you ever end up getting on the computer or end up being on their phone or their iPad and you get on YouTube and you just take a look at the watch history, what is it looking like? Is it a lot of videos of things happening that's harmful to other people? Are there a bunch of videos about content when it comes to being disingenuous or insulting another gender? Like I know, especially in social media today, we have a whole lot of men ain't shit content. That usually rings my bell if I was like dating a woman and I notice all of her history in YouTube is all about how men are trash, men ain't shit, men are only an investment when it comes to money. Like if you see things, how to scam a man, like when you see a whole bunch of content like that in watch history, that's very unfortunate. It's like, yo, you might want to back up off that person. Same thing over here. Like I know we have a lot of modern red pill content where it's talking about be on your purpose because bitches ain't shit. You can be on your purpose. But why you gotta say that women ain't shit? That's the unfortunate part. Just pump and dump, just fuck these hoes and that's it. Why even the mention of that? If you wanna be on your purpose, your watch history should be having content of finance, economics, real estate, how to use QuickBooks, something educational, a whole bunch of tutorials on how to be greater. Something about in the lines of self-improvement. But when you start going into that area of, you know, the gender war and why men are women, why women are winning, when it just comes to anything where there's always a contention between, you know, the two genders, you may want to be very, very wary of that, because if you're consuming all of this content about being so mad and disappointed with the opposite sex, that anger is going to end up building up, and most likely it's possible that they're going to lash out on you. It may not be physical, but mentally something just may be in place to the point where you could be harmful, or they could just end up doing something to you that just may be totally disrespectful. If you ever been with somebody and they utter these words, well, nobody really cared about me, nobody loved me. Of course, there's a huge root. And a lot of us had that huge root. A lot of us pretty much have had moments in our life where we felt alone. where there was nobody there for us. We felt abandoned by the ones that were supposed to love us. Some of us never even met the people that brought us into this world. Whether you were in foster care, whether you were in the system, whether you were just found, or whether you were just living with grandma and grandpa, your auntie or whatever, but the person that brought you into this world, the two people that brought you into this world are not there. I'm not trying to stereotype, but a lot of you may have a tendency to really not give a shit about people to the point where you do not care about how much you hurt them. And so since you felt like nobody cared about you and you run into somebody that actually does care about you, you end up hurting them. And yes, a lot of people can say like you need therapy, but we all know that therapy costs money. That's pretty much where you need to go ahead and pick up a book, but you got to discipline yourself. You can't always just try to look to somebody else to help you. Sometimes you gotta dig and figure out what are the steps you gotta take for yourself to help yourself. Therapy costs money, but hell, they got ebooks out there for free on steps to pretty much self-improve, to get your mind right, to teach you how to like other people, love other people, to get that social aggregate popping. But when you end up running into people that do not care about people because nobody cared about them, it's like, I'm sorry if you're this person, but you can be dangerous. You can. Lord knows when I was out there dating, I ran into a lot of women who said nobody cared about me, and those be the first women that will be quick to take advantage of somebody. Fellas, same thing. Mommy wasn't there for you, daddy wasn't there for you, and you don't give a damn about robbing anybody. You'll go ahead and swoop up on them, snatch whatever, damn, because you don't care about humanity, because you feel like humanity didn't care about you. There's nothing humane about you. You were dealt a bad hand in life, unfortunately. Hurt people. But I just wanted to go ahead and take the time to throw that vid out there. And please, if you haven't, subscribe to this video, like it, share it. I appreciate it. And like I mentioned before, please go out and support the Fatherhood Village podcast. Great content, and they got some merch, so make sure you come up. And in the meantime, y'all know how I do. I'm out this piece. Good evening, Mr. Black.